Hello and welcome to a new episode of Gully to Gully. We continue our preview of Pakistan's World Cup journey. And today we're going to discuss potential banana skin fixtures for Pakistan. I know we already had the Sri Lanka episode, but these are three toughish fixtures. I've got Moin here with me. Let's start off with what has become a very interesting rivalry in cricket, which shouldn't have been on paper. Pakistan versus Afghanistan.
At some point, Pakistan's luck is going to run out here. I mean, the number of times we've played the get out of jail card is just becoming a bit too much, right? And now we don't have Naseem Shah anymore, who, forget his bowling, his heroics at the bat will be really missed. But look, I think a lot depends on where we are, right, up until then. If we have won 3 games out of 4 out of 4, dreamy, but it won't happen. 3 out of 4, I think we'll be cautiously optimistic going into this. But if we find ourselves in a situation when we've lost our 2 big games against India and Australia, I foresee the Afghanistan game being quite challenging because we only have 2 days between the Australia game and the Bangladesh game. And the Afghanistan game. So I just think will that be enough time to recover from 2 drubbings and with the complete lack of drought of momentum? And that's where Afghanistan can be most dangerous, right? The spinners, Mujib at the start, just strangling the opposition, and Pakistan with their, block or hit approach can be a bit sort of chancy when it comes to succumbing to this.
Look, I think it's going to be trial by spin. No surprise there. But I think it's going to come down to how well Pakistan attack their seamers, because they'll have 35, 40 overs of spin potentially. I mean, you'll have obviously Rashid and Mujib. So at least they'll have 25, 30 overs there where they really need to go at 7+ to really stand a chance. And then you can milk around Rashid and Rashid and Mujib if you had to. But also I think the other important thing is Gurbaz. If he gets going, he can smash 150.
I mean, if he was an Indian player or a Sri Lanka Pakistani player, there'd be a lot of press coverage over him. But I think he's really good. It's just a shame the team around him, as far as batting is concerned, tends to be a bit inconsistent. Sounds very familiar. But just coming back to the bowling, right? I'm going to ask you a hard question, because that's what we do here. We ask hard questions, unpopular opinions. Rashid Khan, we've talked a lot about Shadab Khan, the T20 bowler, not translating into the ODI bowler. Can we say the same thing about Rashid Khan? Because it just seems sometimes that he lacks the ability to, pick up wickets, variation, becomes a bit more dimensional. Just a question here. Is his flatter, faster trajectory more suited to T20 than one-day cricket?
Yes and no. Against Pakistan, that theory does not hold, regardless of any format. I think he's always got Pakistan's number and Babar Azam's number in specific. But overall, I think, Owen Morgan would agree after what he did to him in the 2019 World Cup. Absolutely decimated him.
No, and even in this recent series, wasn't it such that I think when we were chasing that big total, the only time that we actually felt under the pump, I think Rashid Khan was quite ordinary against us. So I think I could be wrong.
I think he went for 5s or 6 and took a wicket in that 300 chase. But I mean, 1 in 7, 8 games that I can probably remember. Otherwise, he's just been all over Pakistan, right? So I wouldn't completely agree, to be honest with you. And also partly because the other bowlers around him, you have 40 overs of that. So the batsmen probably think, okay, we can just play him out, and they still have 40 overs to score at 7, 8 and over, and then still end up getting a decent score.
And there's one thing I've noticed about Rashid Khan, and it's across all both limited overs formats. It's he does not like bowling in the power play. Right now, sometimes like Afghanistan in particular tend to, when they're especially as you do when you're defending a low total, bring your best bowlers on early. But you'll notice Rashid Khan, forget 10 overs, I think usually up to 15 overs he doesn't like to come on. And Afghanistan have been quite, dare I say, stubborn with that. And it may cost them a bit, because I think Rashid Khan's a fine bowler. He should be trusting his game to bowl with a slightly harder ball, especially given his style of bowling.
I completely agree. I think, and the one thing I think we need to mention for this game specifically is similar to 2007 when Pakistan got a green top against Ireland. They're playing this game in Chennai. No coincidence there.
I mean, yeah, just somehow we find ourselves always playing these games in conditions that always go against us. But coming back to my point, I don't know which conditions suit us. So this is something that's not going to keep me up at night. We struggle on all conditions. But yes, against Afghanistan, spinning wicket, you know, Pakistan, I don't know how it's happened. We have struggled against spin of late, right? But it's good to see Rizwan getting into form. It's good to see finally, I mean, you can start calling me Selector Saab from now on, but finally Saad Shakil has made his mark, and I hope he's going to be part of the starting 11, right? I mean, Saad Shakil is someone who I think should always have been selected and preferred ahead of Salman Agha. I think he's a very good player of spin. He helps negate the threat of Rashid and a few others because of his left-handedness. So the right left-hand combination here, it can be quite effective. And look, I think a lot rests on match situation. I think Pakistan's strength or Pakistan's way of batting against spin matters a lot depending on conditions. If we're not conditions, on situation, because if we're already in a good position, we will milk the spinners. It'll seem as if there was never a problem against spin, and then when we are backs against the wall, chasing a low total, but somehow we find ourselves sort of a few wickets down early with not much on the board. Suddenly, it becomes like we're in a minefield when we're playing against spin. So, I don't know whether it's a question of mental aptitude or whatever, but I think that's going to be critical if we are to come out unscathed in Chennai.
So where do you think Pakistan are going to come out at in Chennai?
So I'll answer in three. If Pakistan win against Australia, they're going to beat Afghanistan. I think if Pakistan lose to Australia, I think it's going to be a close game, but I still back Pakistan. But if Pakistan have lost both India and Australia and ends up being a thrashing, I think that will be, curtains for Pakistan's chances. So I actually would say Afghanistan have a pretty decent chance of causing an upset. But to answer you short, classic Moeen, never keeping things succinct here, I'm going to say Pakistan.
I'm going to keep it short, and I think Pakistan will win, despite everything I've said in Afghanistan's favor. But, I mean, come on. Pakistan has to beat Afghanistan. And for once, let's not make it a random nail biter and don't mess it up.
And I don't care if Fakhar Zaman scores a double 100 against India and Australia. I don't think Fakhar Zaman should be playing against Afghanistan. He struggles. Mujib is just going to get him out as he's done the countless other times. It's just not going to happen.
Well, if he gets a double 100, then there's no way he's going to be dropped.
I'm going to be dropping him, but fair enough. But look, we've talked a lot about one side of things, right? I mean, let's just spend a couple of minutes just talking about Pakistan's bowlers, right? Both in the Afghanistan game and also the South Africa game, because especially in South Africa, both in Chennai, right, our spinners have struggled, right? So the question here is, how do Pakistan contain the opposition, right? Are they always going to pick up early wickets? Maybe not. And against South Africa, it's a good segue into the South Africa game. What does Pakistan do if we don't pick up wickets earlier on? Because South Africa's middle order is their biggest strength, and it's up against our biggest weakness.
They'll have to rely on seam in the middle overs. They'll have to alternate between a spinner and a seamer. Maybe Hassan Ali channeling his 2017 Champions Trophy form somehow. I think that's the only way. And look, but with Klaasen and Miller in that middle order, I think with spin they're going to take Shadab and Nawaz to the cleaners. It's going to be difficult, but I think they'll have to find a way to smartly rotate the seamers around the spinners.
Now, nobody knows what Pakistan's starting 11 is, and it's classic Pakistan style. We won't even know our classic 11 until probably this very game, where against South Africa, we sort of stumble on it. Cough, Haris Sohail cough. But this time, I think it's going to be, a question of which spinners to have. And I personally, I know you're going to disagree with me, I personally think if you're going to back Shadab, I definitely think it's worth bringing Osama Mir in for these games, especially in Chennai, if not the wider tournament?
Solely depends on how Nawaz has done in the previous 4 games. If he's had a decent run, then there's no way. It's only when things are desperate, Pakistan need to win, and they've had a tough couple of games, then they might go.
So you don't think Osama will start?
No.
Despite interesting. But we'll find out. I think you're right. Given our Barbara things, I personally would start with Osama and Shadab against Netherlands.
Well, the biggest thing that we mentioned South Africa is they're missing Andre Nokia, which is, sorry, I can't pronounce that name properly. But I think that is the biggest loss for South Africa because he's been really good in the IPL whenever he's played in Indian conditions. Rabada is good, excellent actually, but can he carry that team on his own? Does he have the support? I'm not quite sure. Obviously, Shamsi is someone who's been good against Pakistan, except that one Fakhar Zaman game. So, and they would have had good practice against Kuldeep Yadav. So.
Well, I mean, I think there's a very big difference in quality there. But again, question Maharaj, again, depends on... Look, I mean, let's not forget that we're not playing these games in isolation. South Africa would have also had a run-up to that Pakistan game. It depends on which spinners are bowling well for them. You would bank on them to have figured that out. Is Rabada past his prime? Question. Nagidi, is he really good enough? I mean, I think losing Nokia is probably a bigger deal for South Africa than losing Naseem Shah for Pakistan, only because it limits their other options. How good is their spin? I think out of all the teams, I would say it's the biggest unknown. Right? You can pretty much sort of plot how good Australia, Zampa, Max, all this, but South Africa, you just don't know because Shamsi and Maharaj don't know who's going to play, and both of them on their day can be very effective, right? So you just never know.
But look, I think South Africa have a lot to give in this World Cup. It's Quinton de Kock's last ODI tournament, so he's got something to prove. There's been a lot said about Bavuma as the captain, his strike rate, and again, similar themes. I don't know, not sure we've heard those before. Top order batsman not having a good strike rate for limited overs cricket, but top order captain batsman. But look, I think there's still a lot of questions for South Africa. Overall, I think Pakistan do have the edge, and they've had the edge over South Africa in recent ICC games. So I'd back them to do well. If South Africa had Nokia in full flow playing, then maybe it would have been a different story. But I'd back Pakistan.
Yeah, and I think this is the only game, only fixture where the conditions and the ground and the atmosphere, all that, will benefit Pakistan. So I would say especially in Chennai, Pakistan to win. But look, I mean, I think they've got a pretty solid team. I forgot to mention Makram as well, who's a very good option even with the ball. He's a good number 4. When he does well, it's like South Africa have 12 people.
There's no Mohammad Hafiz playing to get out too.
That is the point. Mohammad Hafiz. So sorry, Aaron Finch, who obviously not playing anymore, but and sorry, Makram, but you're not going to get that easy gift guaranteed wicket that Hafiz just gives you out of absolutely nowhere. But anyway, so where will South Africa end up? $1 million question, that.
Well, we didn't do that for Afghanistan as well, but we'll get back. Yes. Let's do this. Let's do Bangladesh first, and then let's predict our positions for all of them at the end.
Let's do that.
Let's move on to Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, the away game of all away games for Pakistan in Kolkata. I mean, we're really going to be outnumbered. And look, I think so. Kolkata, out of all the stadiums, is the paciest wicket. Okay. Typically, I would have said that doesn't suit us, but given our style of batting and given the fact that our players tend to do better when the ball comes onto the bat with a bit of pace, and especially also given the fact that there isn't that much bounce, so it's not like a Perth in Australia, I actually think the conditions will suit us, right? Bangladesh, for the first time, have good fast bowlers, better than their spinners, I have to say. I just think there's a lot of uncertainty. Bangladesh are being almost like a Pakistan of old here with Tamim Iqbal and Shakib Hassan. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think, that should be a Pakistan win.
I think, look, it's a tricky fixture. We've been overusing the term banana skin. But this is a typical one of those. Because A, it's in Kolkata. I think you can't underestimate that because there'll be a lot of support for Bangladesh. And they tend to do well when, in home conditions. So, although they lost the series to New Zealand, but it wasn't, anyways, it was a warm-up series. But like you say, I think the internal politics, their pacers are good, but they just have this innate ability, like Pakistan, to self-destruct, like they did in the Asia Cup.
Yeah, they just shut up shop. It's as if, it reminds me of Pakistan of old, right? I mean, they just, something just clicks and they're like, you know what, today's not a day, we're not having it. We just want to go home and catch the 6 o'clock news, right? I mean, that's the feeling you get. But look,
Sorry. No offense to anyone when you said the Pakistan of old.
yes, sorry, yes. I mean, I'm referring to a very precise time in the early 2000s, even late 90s for that matter. But never mind. Look, I think the key point here, let's talk a bit about Shakib and Tamim. Yeah, I mean, when you hear both sides of the argument, you definitely have to say Shakib is right. Shakib is talking about fitness, and I agree with him on fitness. I mean, I think Pakistan are a very good case study on how fitness is paramount. And Tamim saying, oh, I've never batted in the middle order, so I didn't take that conversation well, and I'm not playing. I mean, this is the World Cup. This is your country. If you are a top-class batter, it shouldn't matter whether you're opening or batting at 3, right? It shouldn't. So whoever side you listen to, I can't help, although I really like Tamim as a player, I can't help but agree with Shakib. But I just hope they just find a way, if possible, to bring Tamim in and everyone to be happy. But I'm ever the idealist.
I don't know whether it's pride or whether he feels hurt because he retired and he was asked to come back, and now he feels like he's entitled to walk into the team on his terms. It's really strange how it's panned out, but it adds some entertainment for us neutrals.
Thought, I mean, when was the last time the president or prime minister called up one of the leading players to come back before the World Cup? I mean, that guy Imran Khan came back as Ziaul Haq asked him to come back. He came back on his own terms as captain, as a batting all-rounder. Tamim Iqbal probably wanted more of the same, but there's a slight difference in quality and stature between the two.
So what do you think is going to happen in that game?
Pakistan now, look, I think Pakistan are going to win that game. The bigger question, look, I could be completely wrong here, but I think the bigger question is how significant will that win be? And will run rate, and I guarantee that knowing Pakistan's, inability to control net run rate early into the tournament, it may just be how big Pakistan need to win in order to stay alive.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'd bet Pakistan to win, but like you said, it's not going to be a comprehensive win. Even if they had the opportunity to chase down 200 in 30 overs, they would take their sweet time and do it in 49.4.
Look, all right, so look, let's, just bringing it all together, right? I mean, we're now in the business end of the tournament, right? So we're getting into the place where it really depends on where teams are standing before and after this game, but after these games. But let's go Afghanistan. Where do we think they'll end up?
Overall, in the tournament, I would put them ninth.
So ahead or ahead of or below Bangladesh?
So I had the Netherlands 10th, so Afghanistan 9. I would have Bangladesh, I would have 8. It's really interesting because Afghanistan and Bangladesh play each other. It's their first game. So that'll tell us a lot about what happens.
Yeah.
And continuing in that sequence and how I think the rest of the tournament will go. Sincere apologies to our South Africa fans. I think they will end up in 7th just because I feel Irfan Pathan might disagree because he kicked out Pakistan in his top 4 and put South Africa in there. But I think Nokia is going to be a massive loss. And I still think South Africa I don't know, for some reason I feel like they're just not there yet.
I don't know. I think South Africa are going to be 5, actually. I think they're going to be 5, if not 4. Maybe it's my heart influencing my mind. So I actually think my thing is, I think Bangladesh are going to be 9. I think Afghanistan are going to be 8. I just think that the strength of their spin in India. So Afghanistan at 8, Bangladesh 9, South Africa 5.
Oh, that's a big call. And on that note, as we respectfully agree to disagree,
They're experts at their finest, no pressure, just shouting at the TV.
we're going to be arguing over who finishes 8th or 9th between Afghanistan and Bangladesh.
And I bet it'll be Pakistan at the end of it, and then all this would be purely theoretical.
But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the episode. Let us know what you think. What do you think about Bangladesh, Afghanistan, South Africa's chances, and Pakistan against them? As always, please do give your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you for watching.